This is a computer. This is a computer. This is also a computer. There are multiple ways to communicate with computers. You have keyboard, you have mouse, and touchscreen perhaps, depending on your computer. And is that it? There's actually at least one other way, and you have probably seen this lots of time from Siri, Google Assistant, Alexa, Microsoft Cortana, and so on. And yes, it is speech recognition. As you might have known, most people talk faster than they type on keyboard. So, does that mean typing with speech recognition is also faster? Well, for that purpose, I have built a program that takes audio input and then turn them into text and then type it for me. And then in the end, we'll play type eraser with it. And yes, I know I can do this without any programming at all because software like Microsoft Word actually have this feature. But I cannot play type eraser with Microsoft Word, can I? And that's not fun. In case you want to know how exactly my program works, I will try to explain this briefly in simple terms. So here is the flow chart. Yes, I know there is this black areas on the sides, and I made this in Microsoft Word and I'm too lazy to fix it, so please forgive me. Anyway, basically this is my computer, and when the program starts, it asks itself, is there any particular keys on keyboard being pressed? In this case, I use Control Alt A and Control Alt S as the hotkey. If none of that combination is being pressed, then it will just keep asking itself that same question until it gets old and die alone. But the second our hotkey is being pressed, my computer will start recording for a split of a second and then store the recording temporarily in a safe place. Then it will ask again, is the hotkey still being pressed? If the hotkey is still pressed, then it will record and save it. This is done over and over again until the hotkey eventually released. At that moment, my computer will stop recording and convert all those recordings we have accumulated into an audio file. Now the far up there in the cloud is a Google server. This server is capable of many great things, and one of them is transforming audio into text. So my dumb computer just needs to send the audio file to Google server and let Google handle all the translations. After Google gets the file, it will process the file with their artificial intelligence and send back the result in the form of text. All we need to do now is to tell our computer to simulate typing the text. And then we go back to checking hotkeys and do the same thing over and over again. So I just finished building that, and here comes the most exciting part, which is testing, because we will play type eraser with it. And in the bottom right corner you will see these blocks that show what keyboard key is being pressed. Initially I put it there because I thought it can show that I only press the hotkeys and maybe some symbols key, but not actually typing everything. But I forget that because I simulate the keyboard typing, it actually shows there as well. So it's kind of pointless, but yeah, it's just there. Just ignore it. My mind is open so wide since you came inside. I feel so alive. I was blinded. Your smile shining behind those green eyes. The horizon so enticing. Please say you'll be mine. Oh. For we are not as faithful to the being we have most loved as we are to ourselves, and sooner or later we forget her, since that is one of our characteristics, so as to start loving another.
So yeah, that was a pretty good run. But I just remember that between typing each character, I put in 0.1 second delay, because if I don't put delay, then sometimes the character can get jumbled up for some reason, although we type it correctly. I think that's just the website cannot handle that speed, and they never fix it because no one actually typed that fast. So after few testing, I found out that 0.05 second delay actually works pretty well too. So here is the improved version, and later on I will also provide keyboard cam so you can actually see what I pressed on the keyboard.
I remember way back then when everything was true and when we would have such a very good time. Such a fine time. Such a happy time. New record. I remember way back then when everything was true and when we would have such a very good time. Such a fine time. Such a happy time. New record.
What you just saw was not the first try. There are lots of failed attempts before this, and speech recognition, at least for now, is far from perfect. They have hard time recognizing names, differentiating between symbol and the spelled out version of a symbol. So for example, if I say comma, it doesn't know if by comma I mean the symbol comma or COMMA, the word comma. And they also doesn't know when to use capital and when to use lowercase. So that's why I have two different hotkeys. One is for capital and the other one is for lowercase. So yeah, for those kind of things, for names, symbols, I still have to do it manually because it's way faster. Also, there are a lot of time wasted because I have to wait for the program to type before I can read the next part. And I think that can be easily improved by making the program listen to the next part while it's figuring out the current part. If I feel like it, I might make an improved version of it. So there might be part 2 for this, but I don't know, who knows. So what are my thoughts on speech typing? I think if you are a fluent typer, so maybe like 70 words per minute or above, it's still faster to just type using keyboard, especially if you're programming, because there are lots of variable names, functions, and classes that oftentimes don't have common name because they're like abbreviation of many different words. And sometimes they have underscore as well, and You also have to use brackets, semicolon, plus, minus, and so on. So yeah, it's just not good enough for programming, at least for now. This is the end of the video. If you like this, please click the like button. If you want more like this, consider subscribing. If you have any thoughts on the video, feel free to drop a comment down below. If you know someone who will enjoy this kind of content, share this to them. And yeah, see you next time. Cheers. This is the end of the video. If you like this, please like.